Hello there. Today I'm in Pauillac, and as part of my tastings for the 2024 en-primeurs, looking at wines from estates owned by the Casteja family. So I'm at Chateau Batailley, a famous fifth growth, and here I'm tasting the wine of its sister chateau, Lynch-Moussas, which is a couple of kilometres up the road from here. Lynch-Moussas has been in the hands of the Casteja family since the early 19th century. However, it wasn't until the 1970s that they were in a position to be able to renovate the estate. So what is now an estate with over 71 hectares of vines had got down to a stage where the chateau itself was dilapidated, the vineyard was no more than about 4 hectares. And so from the 1970s, the family have replanted it. So now we have good vine age, modern winemaking facilities, and an estate that's rated as a fifth growth that really for the last 10 years has been starting to show the true quality of its terroir. Think of the wines I've tried so far, this is the wine that so far most excites me because it has a degree of freshness and elegance that's made it stand out. Typically for Pauillac, the wine is predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon. I believe it's 78% of Cabernet Sauvignon with 22% of Merlot. As this is an en-primeur sample, it will have spent about 3 or 4 months in barrel now, so has some of its final oak influence, but it's not a completed wine yet. This is a sample that's been drawn from the barrels as the wine matures. Now 2024 was quite a challenging vintage. I mean, they were talking about the fact that they're doing selection in the vineyard here, and that they probably rejected about 20% of the fruit here, both sorting it in the vineyard and using optical sorters on the wine after it had reached the winery and been destemmed. The other point that's been made is that fermentation temperatures were kept relatively low in 2024 to stop the extraction of too harsh a tannin. So what I'm tending to find is that these tend to be quite mellow wines with actually really quite good structure. But let's have a look at it and see what we make of it, shall we? First thing to say is we've got a lovely vibrant colour. It's not quite opaque. It has a sort of a vivid purple rim, and the colour is currently a sort of a really lovely purple ruby. Pauillac wines here tend to have alcohols of about 13.5%, but the wine has sufficient body that it is clinging to the glass there. It is a little reticent to throw some tears there, but there seems to be some reasonable viscosity. So let's have a look at the aroma, shall we? The aromas initially show some really attractive, juicy red fruit. There are notes of raspberry, of mulberry, that sort of quite lifted, high-toned, juicy, and they're attractive. There are perhaps some little hints of toasty oak spice, cedar, vanilla, but just gently at the back there. And perhaps also a tiny touch of chocolate cocoa sort of notes. So let's taste. First impression I get is a wine with lovely freshness. The acidity is good without being harsh, and then you get more of that sort of red fruit, mulberry, raspberry, through to slightly riper boysenberry, almost heading towards a red cherry fruit. There's a freshness of red currants. It's a wine whose acidity is making it quite lively and whose alcohol is nicely in balance. There's a very fine structure. The tannins have a little bit of grip. There's perhaps a tiny touch of sweet spice, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, those sort of hints, but all very well integrated. I think one of the things I'm finding in my early tasting of these 2024 wines is there's a mellowness about them. This particular wine has quite good concentration. There's a roundness and a harmony to it. The wine is medium to full-bodied, and its tannic structure is giving it good length. And it's doing that in combination with these fine tannins. And there's a sort of a mouth-watering, juicy red fruit running from a sort of a mulberry through to a red cherry note at the finish. And the finish is lasting really quite nicely. I suppose one of the messages I'm taking from this is before I came to Bordeaux, I got the impression that some people had already written off the wines from the 2024 vintage. Instead, here I found a wine that's attractive and approachable. It's got some lovely vivacity, probably a wine that, because of that quite sort of soft extraction that was done at slightly cooler temperatures, is likely to mature earlier, and provided it's priced appropriately, should provide some really nice medium-term drinking. So yes, a wine that from an estate that I think has been slightly undervalued for a little while now, and is increasingly reliably producing some really enjoyable wines. that's managing to show some really nice typicity in what was a relatively challenging vintage. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, do please press the like button. If you'd like to watch more of these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It would be fantastic to have your support there. And also, that way you can set yourself a notification and be alerted every time we release a new video. If you have any comments, please pop those in the comments box below. And if you would like to share the video with friends, we'd really appreciate that endorsement from you. I'll leave a link to the Wine Searcher webpage for this wine, and that way you can follow that. And when pricing availability comes up, once these wines have been released en primeur, you'll be able to see what its pricing is, assess its value, and see where it's available near you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be in Bordeaux for another couple of weeks, and hopefully be able to record more of these videos. So I do hope you'll follow my adventures, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye for now.